Hey everybody, and welcome to the last regular season Sogcast. I'm Patrick.
I'm Matt.
I'm Garrett.
I'm Nate.
We got Nate filling in for Owen today. The Mariners' current record is, you know what? It doesn't matter what the record is. They clinched the playoffs.
Let's
And
go.
it's over. Record doesn't matter.
Yes.
The drought is over. It's over.
They did it.
21 years. It's done. The Mariners are in the postseason.
How many times have you cried in the last 24 hours, boys?
Oh my God. Because I was at the game last night, and when that home run, when Cal, I'm speechless. It was such a cool moment. One of the coolest moments of my life, just watching him absolutely destroy that 3-2 pitch. Pinch hit, 2 outs, full count, bottom of the ninth. Like, that's like a movie script. I
He
cannot
dipped
believe
down low and he sent that shit
Yeah.
into orbit.
it wasn't even a bad pitch.
Yeah.
It was low, and he scooped it, and
He got deep into that lunge and sent that thing flying.
Matt and I were talking earlier. That's like what you dream about as a kid. You practice in the backyard with a wiffle ball. You're like, full count, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, down to my final pitch, tie game, or down a run. And you just practice walking it off like that.
Yeah, man, it's the biggest moment you can dream up, dream big. And like when Cal was rounding second base, he threw down a big old
F-bomb. He was happy. He was amped.
He was like, "What just happened?" His mind was blown in the middle of rounding the bases. Yeah, unbelievable to watch, man.
I just cannot believe that it's finally over. Like, I've waited so long for this, and just how electric the crowd was. Everyone was involved. It was so loud, and the Seattle Mariner fans we've earned this. Like, fans have earned a right to be loud in the postseason, and
Hell yeah.
I'm so excited. I'm so happy.
The baseball world knows it too, man. They're all happy too. Even the O's fans they're stand-up fans over there. They're our bird bros, and they understand the situation. They're us last year. Like, surprise, and we're here this year. We have a whole different squad and a whole different energy. Good vibes only. Like, this is something that we haven't seen in a long time. It actually is special. It's not just something you have to convince yourself of that is just going to die in dramatic fashion.
Patrick,
Yo.
do you still believe it? Has it set in yet? You were saying it's going to take a couple days.
Yeah, I've been there for weeks, man.
It's going to take them actually playing a postseason game before it hits you.
Yeah, I think game one of the wild card matchup is going to have to end, and I'll be like, I think the Mariners really have a shot at the postseason. But no, it's like I'm still kind of living like in a dream state. Like, it seemed like it was from a movie. Like, you just can't really expect something like that to happen, and for it to happen in such dramatic fashion, it's just I'm like living in a dream world right now, and to want something for so long, and just for it to finally happen, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Dude, I didn't realize I had so much PTSD or whatever it was. The way I describe it is my butthole unclenched a little bit, and I didn't realize that it was clenched so tight for 20 years. It's been a long ride, and it's quite the relief, it was a very dramatic and emotional release. Not to be too visceral about the physical response part, but just but that's it's a long time coming for something you didn't realize you had such tension about, right? I was laughing, crying by myself while I was working, and just until I could celebrate with my friends later. It was a wild reaction and kind of a ride. I haven't been on. It's been a 20-year ride. And we're here. I'm an adult. My entire adult life has been dismal in Seattle baseball world, but I love baseball. I've been here for all of it. And we're here. We made it. We finally made it.
Also, it was so great seeing just the entire city just amped up. Nate and Allison and I, we went and partied afterwards. We walked around the streets, went and got a couple drinks at the new Pyramid, or whatever Pyramid used to be. Now it's what, like Hatback? It was okay. It was cool. But it's just nice, like, seeing everyone amped. Like, we were dancing with strangers, high-fiving everyone. It's been a crazy 24 hours. It's
Good
been
vibes
wild.
only.
Yeah.
I also still haven't even processed it. And like Patrick said, I don't think until like the end of or when wild card game 1 starts, I'm like, oh, wait, we're actually in this. Like we didn't end on the last day of the regular season. And there's like still this weird part of me that doesn't believe it. I'm like, wait, there still has to be some way we don't make the playoffs, right? Like this is like too good to be true.
I saw a bunch of comments online that was like, please tell me Cal touched home plate. Like just finding something that could negate what just happened.
No appeals to the MLB can negate this win, right?
I loved all the post-game antics as well. It was so fun, dude. Watching all these young guys just chiefing cigars and just like pounding champagne and beers in the clubhouse.
Last night there was a fireworks show after the game, and it took like an hour after the game had ended to even get the fireworks show started because everyone was just celebrating on the field. It was so crazy. Scott gave a speech. His voice was cracking. He was so excited. It was awesome to see. I mean, everyone was amped and just everyone's together. It's a weight is lifted off of the city of Seattle, and we all got to be a part of it. And it's really, really cool. Everyone celebrating. Scott drunk as hell, giving speeches to the fans. I watched Cal Raleigh chug a beer in front of everyone. It was just good times.
Was Jerry DePoto around? Anyone?
Yeah, he
see
was
Jerry.
there.
He was hanging, partying.
yeah.
He was
I
in the
didn't
middle
love-
of the party. Yeah, he was
Hell
popping
yeah.
champagne. People were pouring
Good,
beers on
man.
his head.
He deserves that. I'm glad he was in the middle of that. Respect.
Yeah, and honestly, so much credit goes to Jerry DePoto and how he's turned this team around. And I know when he took over, it was very, very dark days for the Mariners. And we had some fan favorites with Robinson Cano, not one of my favorites, but a fan favorite. And then, of course, like Nelson Cruz, all these kind of Kyle Seager, Felix Hernandez, and basically everyone got disbanded. And people were already frustrated and they didn't like the direction DePoto was taking the team. And he's proven that he was right. He made the moves necessary. And now, as we mentioned in the last podcast, now that the Mariners are willing to spend money, it's more beneficial for free agents. Free agents want to come here. I was listening to an interview. The reason why Luis Castillo signed his extension with the Mariners is because he saw the massive extension that they gave Julio and the team chemistry it brought and how excited he was to be a part of this organization, that 48 hours later, he agreed to his extension and to wanted to be a part of the Mariners. Like, people want to come here now. And Jerry DePoto deserves all the credit in the world for really turning this franchise around. He's built up the farm system where now we're able to get rid of prospects to get players that we need. And it's finally here. The fruits of his labor have come to fruition.
Yeah, it took a little while, you know. There was kind of a first step where we got Mitch Haniger, the trade with the Diamondbacks. We got Mitch Haniger, and we got who did we get? Like, that was the beginning of his time when we had Kyle Seager, Mitch Haniger, Marco Gonzalez leading the way, and like they're the people who drove the like culture of our clubhouse for a long time. There was a whole like rebuild feel, a step back, and then but then we finally did get our farm system fully together. We had one of the best farm systems until we used it to trade for players we need this year. And we still have players coming up. We still have quite a few pitchers coming up. Yeah.
Hancock coming up.
We have players still. It's not that we have a bad farm system. DePoto's been awesome and continues to make moves when like the money's unlocked for him now.
In that Haniger trade you were talking about, we got Gene Segura, Taijuan Walker, and Ketel Marte.
Right. And then those players turned into, you know, more trades. They got us where we are now. It's just been a great series of trades, even though it took a while. And like, we stuck with Jerry, and I was a couple of years ago, I remember asking you guys, like, is he our guy?
Dude, he couldn't have had a
He's
harder
our guy,
job,
right?
man.
I was like trying to convince myself, like, it's time, right? He's our guy. And like, he's proved it. He's our guy.
Also, the outline he gave was accurate. When he started the rebuild, he said that like 2022, 2023 was going to be the years that the Mariners are actual competitors. And even with the COVID shortened season of 2020, that kind of threw a wrench in all of that. He did it. He did it on time. He's true to his word. And now the longest drought in professional sports is over. We're in the postseason.
So wild, man.
Still can't believe it.
Yeah.
Also, throwing a little shade here, if with the Mariners clinching and if the Phillies clinch the wild card spot this year, which it looks like it will, you know who has the longest playoff drought now in baseball? The Angels. Suck it, Angels. Enjoy that playoff drought. Hope you go 40 years.
Calling themselves Los Angeles, I mean, Anaheim, the distance from Anaheim to LA is like if we had a team in Tacoma and called them like the Seattle Rainiers and they played in Tacoma. It's like 45 minutes with traffic.
Yeah, Cal's going to get a lot of the credit because he hit that sick walk-off, but let's not forget Logan Gilbert pitched 8 innings of awesome baseball. He shoved for 8 innings.
Slice and dice.
Only gave up the 1 run, and honestly, that 1 run he gave up, I mean, it was a mammoth bomb, and you could tell it was a 3-2 count, and the crowd was so amped, like we were so loud, everyone's screaming. So Logan definitely wanted to flex a little bit and blow this fastball by him on a 3-2 count, and the hitter knew it. He knew it was coming, and he feasted on it, and that was the only mistake Logan made the entire day.
Yeah, what I said was like, oh yeah, he knew a fastball was coming. He just used Logan's fuel and just put the barrel on it, and it, you know.
Yeah, Logan provided all the power on that. I was watching Logan. He was hitting 99 miles per hour. He was feeling it.
He was fired up. You could say Walter was coming out. His Walter ego. Like the more nasty his hair gets, the more nasty he gets.
And then we had Castillo today. I mean, it didn't matter. We clinched, but Castillo today still carving up the A's. He had, 8, 9 strikeouts, something like that?
8 strikeouts, like 2 hits, 1 walk.
Yeah, he was absolutely dealing.
Yeah, he was dealing hard. I was just listening again. I was out and about doing stuff, but he's a no doubt dominant ace guy. He has feel for location as well as just nasty shit. He has a couple fastballs. He's got devastating breaking shit too. It's I love his stuff.
But a huge spot, also another great pickup for the Mariners this year. Matthew Boyd coming into our bullpen, hometown hero, and then just he dealt with injuries. People thought his career might be over and done with, and he's come in. He's a late season acquisition by the Mariners, and he's been absolutely destroying. His ERA is like 1.86.
Jeez.
Yeah, we needed a lefty in our pen. Barucki went down, even though he was pretty shaky. He couldn't pitch to right-handed batters very well.
Honestly, I completely forgot about him.
Yeah,
I forgot about Barecki.
He was pretty dominant against lefties, but every time he was pitching against a right-handed batter, I was so nervous, and he just got lit up so often. He was literally only a left-handed specialist, but Boyd was a starting pitcher.
Yeah.
I like that the Mariners targeted pitchers who didn't start the season or had injuries early in the season and were coming back from injury because they don't have the mileage on their arm. And Boyd's throwing some of his first innings all year and feeling good now.
Jerry Dipoto has a gnarly reputation of picking up pitchers that you would definitely not expect. Like Chris Flexen from Korea, you know?
From Korea. Just
Come
he's
on.
like, oh, I bet this guy can win 15 games a year. And
Paul Sewald, too. I mean, picking him up, last year or 2020 from the Mets when everyone thought, Boyd, everyone thought his career was done. You know, he was getting booed out of the stadium every time he pitched for the Mets.
I love that when he went to New York and we beat them there and he closed it down, he was on the field and he's up there pumping his chest hey, yeah, you see, I'm good. What, you guys give me a chance. I don't suck. Come on. Give me a chance.
Yeah, I think sometimes guys just need a chance. They need people to believe in them, and I think that's what Jerry and Scott are really good at doing. They really believe in their guys, and the guys you can tell believe oh yeah, they got my back. I can do this.
Well, and another thing we've talked a whole bunch this year is the team chemistry, and we've used Carlos Santana as a great example of that. Someone who was not a good fit for when he was in Kansas, and it just really wasn't working out for him. And he came here, and it's been a massive turnaround. He's been insanely clutch. His fielding, he made some great plays today at first. And also, I was watching him hustle, and I know I joked earlier that I was like, oh, yeah, I could probably beat Santana or whatever in a race. I couldn't. That dude,
No.
What
He's
did I
moving,
tell
dude.
you?
He's a
dude,
long legger.
He's moving. He's a fast boy.
Yeah.
I've said this before. He's so much faster than what you'd think or what he looks like. I mean, not that he looks slow.
But, I mean, he's kind of like a big, stocky guy. You wouldn't expect him to be moving like
He's
that.
got
but
wheels.
He can be quick.
Speaking of quick, known base stealer Adam Frazier today.
Stole second and third.
Yeah, dude.
That was crazy.
Yeah. Under the radar, Adam Frazier just swiping bags, dude. It was awesome.
You have to wonder if maybe in his contract he had like some stolen base incentive and he needed like 2 more to hit it. So he's like, screw it, I'm going for it right here.
Right.
Oh, they only asked 5 out of me? I can get 2 right here.
Yeah. Extra $200,000? I think I can swipe 2 bags. Yeah.
Honestly, watching it today, though, that pitcher was not, because I was at the game again today, that pitcher was not holding him on. I mean, he took a massive lead from first and had an insane jump to beat him. And then on third, the throw actually beat Frazier. And if the third baseman had held onto the ball, he would have been out. But still, the pitcher was sloughing, was not checking back, wasn't picking off. And Frazier took full advantage, which is nice because it just goes to show that, like, you know, they're watching, they're paying attention. This game didn't even technically matter. And they're still giving it their all. They're paying attention, noticing the pitcher was slipping a little bit, and took advantage of it. It was nice to see.
Not to get too far ahead of ourselves too, but those are the kind of little things that matter immensely in like a wild card round or a playoff round. So that's always good to see that they're still doing that.
And honestly, like, a big benefit to the Mariners team as a whole this year is their base running, their aggressiveness on the base pass, and how much they've stolen bases. They have tons of base stealers on the team, and I mean, I remember when Michael Saunders led the Mariners in stolen bases with 7 one year.
Jeez.
Yeah,
With
pretty
7 stolen bases, and he was the team leader.
Yeah, like at least Malik Smith could steal a base, you know. He was number 0 then, right? We have a different number 0 now, Swaggerty. And he can steal a base too. I love Swaggerty and Dylan Moore's ability to steal a base. It's not that, I mean, they are fast, but like they also have just like such a good twitch, you know, a good read on a pitcher. That's why like JP's fast, right? But he doesn't have like that quick ability to like take off and steal second base. So he doesn't try often because he gets thrown out more times than not. He just doesn't get the jump that these other guys have like the ability to do. Julio especially.
Julio, for sure. We've even seen Mitch Haniger steal bases this year. Yeah, that's a huge part. Getting dudes to advance bases has been huge this year.
Did Suarez sneakily steal a bag this last? I heard something where like the infield wasn't paying attention or like no one was at the bag, so he just swiped like second or something.
Yeah, that was like 2 days ago. Something basically, the A's were appealing a play at third. They thought that, I believe, Haggerty had left early, so they went to appeal, and Suarez again caught him slipping as they were worried about the appeal at third and just ran to second.
Everyone's just pointing to the dugout, and he's like, okay, sure,
Yeah.
thanks.
Free bag for me.
Yeah, the Rangers did that appeal so wrong. You're supposed to get on the mound and then disengage and like basically point like to the ump to let them know you're appealing and then throw it over. And that would have prevented him from being able to steal. But the guy didn't even get back on the mound. He just tossed it over and the guy walked to third base. No one was paying attention to cover second, and Suarez said, okay, heads up play.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
and it was the Rangers, not the A's. You're right. I called them the A's. Another big September call-up. We've been wishy-washy about him. Jared Kalanick. His back is against the wall.
Yeah, man.
It was finally his time to like put up or shut up, and he's putting up.
So far, he's putting up good too. We got to represent Owen, even when he's not here. Owen would be praising him right now.
And honestly, last year in September, he produced kind of as well. Like, he had a really bad year, but then was starting to get the wheels turning in September. And he's doing it again in this September. And you know what? I'm happy to eat my words, and because I've said a lot of negative things about Kalanick.
Same.
And if he wants to prove me wrong, all the power to him. I'm happy for him. Like, I want to be proven wrong. And if he really, with his back against the wall, and now is his real time to prove himself, if he can continue to do that, I'd love to, have egg on my face and be like, wow, I was completely wrong about Kalanick.
I'm right there with you. I feel the exact same way. This is his last chance, and he's got to prove it. And so far, he's doing that. Good for him, and good for the team.
Yeah. Again, like his attitude, he's changed his stance again, which has always been a weird issue, but he seems to be seeing the ball well. Today, I watched him. He was in an 0-2 count and battled back for a walk.
Yes.
That's huge. That's big at bats. That's the type of stuff that really matters in October. And if he can continue to make those kind of plays and those kinds of decisions and grow as a player, then, let me eat my words. Like, go Kalanick.
Yeah, he's been put in that spot where he's been called up with no options left. Obviously, he's just on the roster till the end of the year and on our playoff roster, especially with how he's been performing. His at-bats have been really good. He's been patient. When he gets in a hole, like you said, he'll battle back a lot more than we ever saw. He's striking out a lot less. The same with Terenza's been called up too, and he's having really good at-bats as well. Like, the whole team is in a mood where they're choosing their pitches better. They're working at bats. I've noticed this with the whole team, but Kalanick especially. It's been really good, and he has power potential in every at-bat.
If they can just not drop a bunch of games to Detroit, I'll be so happy going into the postseason.
Yeah, and honestly, it kind of, unfortunately, it put a little bit of a damper leading into the postseason, or leading into clinching, because they were dropping a bunch of series that they shouldn't have. And it was very frustrating, and it's kind of nice. Okay, they've turned it around. I mean, today and yesterday were both very good games, and it's nice to see kind of the chemistry back on track. And teams are going to have skids. But it was just an unfortunate time for the Mariners, and it was kind of taking the wind out of our sails a little bit because, we're so amped for this to be the potential end of the drought. And they were just dropping games and playing very poorly. They had that road trip where, there was a 7-game stretch where in 5 of them they didn't score more than 1 run. And it's just like, how do you get excited about that? And we were trying not to be pessimistic, and I feel like we were adequate in our judgments of being frustrated, but realize it's not the end of the world, but what they need to do to pick it up and start getting their shit together. And that's what they've done. And now, the train is back on the track and everything is flowing smoothly. It's nice.
So funny how week to week we'll be like, the wheels have fully fallen off. And then we're like, train's back on. No one ever doubted him.
I didn't doubt him for a second.
You can't blame Mariners fans for doubting a team like that, though. They take big series against teams like the Guardians, like we saw earlier. We're like, yo, this is a preview to playoff baseball.
Yeah.
Which now it looks like it is.
Oh, and then the Braves, too.
The Braves, yeah. Oh, maybe that was
Yeah.
it was.
Guardian
right.
and Braves, both of those
But-
were huge series.
And now
back
it
to
looks
back
like that
series.
really was the preview. Like we have a good shot at playing the Guardians in the postseason right now. But yeah, and then dropping series to teams that have terrible records where you look at it on paper and you go, oh, easy series, probably a sweep. It's like, nope. It
Yeah, and
just
then
doesn't work that way for the Mariners. You can't blame Mariners fans for being super pessimistic. But here we are.
Yeah.
We don't have to think about that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, now it's like a cleansing rain just coming over us and just wiping away all the dirt and all the grime of 20 years of shit. And it's
Feels-
refreshing.
Feels good too. We got back on track at the perfect time to clinch at home. That road trip sucked, but I think it would have kind of sucked to if we did clinch on the road, or maybe a middle of the week game against the Rangers. I think it being a Friday night, sold out crowd was just electric, and I think we turned it around at the right time. That road trip was abysmal. And then Rick Riz said something. I think it was the first game we won finally against Texas on Wednesday or whatever. But to stop the skid, and he was like, the sky was falling, but the Mariners have pushed it right back up into place. And I was like, that's such a hardcore, badass quote. And it's true. They fixed it.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, I've said it before, like, you want to be hot at the right time, you know? And it sucks to fall apart at the end, towards the end of the season, where you have to be worried about not making it into that third playoff spot. But the wheels have been put back on this train, and the train is steaming ahead, trying to work our way up those wild card ranks and maybe get the wild card series back at home, which will be real tough the way the Blue Jays are playing, especially.
Nice thing is we have the tiebreaker over the Blue Jays, though. We're, 1.5 back? So essentially that's actually one game back, because we do hold the season series over them. Ooh. So if we finish tied for wild card 1, it goes to us.
As happy as I am with the Mariners and stuff, realistically speaking, it probably would be better for them to stay in the third wild card spot, because with how hot Toronto has been, I don't know if we necessarily want to face them right now. And even though,
hell no.
Even though when we played Toronto earlier in the year, I believe it was right before the All-Star break, 4-game sweep at home. That was huge for the Mariners. And it's not that I'm like necessarily scared of Toronto per se. I believe the Mariners can beat them, and they've proven that they can. But that first round matchup, I feel, would definitely be easier if it's against the Guardians. And it almost seems kind of more beneficial for the team to stay in that third wild card spot and play against Cleveland.
The issue is, though, Cleveland's actually on fire too. Right now they lost today, so today. So they're 8-2 in their last 10. Before this, they were 9-1 in their last 10. They were on a heater, so they're also hot at the right time.
Yeah, they're a young team that has a lot of energy. They don't have a huge power potential, but they do have dudes who can hit bombs. It's just their game is more like speed and energy, like chemistry, everything coming together for a bunch of young dudes who it kind of mirrors what the Mariners are feeling in a way, where there's some vets and some young guys, and it's the right type of energy, and they're rolling. And it has been scary. That's why originally I was thinking, hey, hang out in the third wild card spot and play Cleveland. That's okay. But Cleveland has been hot and a little bit scary, and they can pitch too. So,
and I think the Rays are also really, you get to the playoffs, every team is scary. Every team is there for a reason. But the Rays, I feel like, could be potentially our worst matchup, just because the way they play baseball, it's how a lot of the teams that we should beat us play baseball, like the Royals. The Rays aren't, huge mashers they do have dominant pitching, but they're not huge mashers like the Jays, but they're put the ball in play, get guys around, score guys. Like, those are the teams that we, for some reason, cannot beat. We can beat all these good mashing teams like the Braves, the Yankees, but for some reason, when it comes to like small ball, fundamental, we struggle against those teams.
Yeah, those teams that always want to scrap for that extra base in any way they can really does give the Mariners a little bit of trouble. I'm just glad our defense is alive and aware. Like, we have dudes on the field who can take control of situations that, the Rays usually take advantage of on a team that's not as alive and aware as the Mariners have been and are, with J.P. Crawford and Eugenio Suarez on the left side. Like, they're both smart guys. They're going to be in the right place at the right time and watch what's happening on the field and direct traffic. Ty France knows what's going on. Like, I'm happy our infield seems very competent going into the playoffs, where we won't make that many mistakes. And if we do, it's going to be rough and dramatic.
You just got to hope the bats come alive at that point.
Also, another thing to be excited about is, again, when the Mariners were skidding and it was rough and we were frustrated, they were also dealing with a ton of injuries. And now Suarez came back sooner than anyone expected, because the initial report that it was full-on fractured finger, which, he did fracture his finger, but they said minimum 3 weeks recovery time. and he was back in a little over a week.
Yep.
They had him on the 10-day, and he came back like almost immediately after. And then like his second game back from the IL, he had 3 hits in the game. So clearly he can hit. They have him fielding a little bit, but I think they might have him DH a little bit more as he deals with his shit finger.
Yeah,
And
he was playing third, so that's a good sign.
And he's
that-
batting with his finger out a little bit. It's his fingertip that's the problem. So I mean, he can just kind of lift it and be and still get it done. Obviously, he's shown that.
And Julio is coming back on Monday, which is nice. It'll be great to have him back. And it's just, again, the Mariners were sloughing and dealing with quite a bit of adversity. They were still competing a little bit. And as they're getting healthier and they're back to the squad that got him there, they're also immediately playing better again. And Julio is just going to be such a huge boost to the lineup. Having Julio and Suarez and even Ty France a little bit and Haniger, like all dealing with injuries at the same time, it was bad for the team. But again, I mean, when you have 4 great players all hurting at the same time, it's gonna hurt your lineup. That's half your damn team.
Yeah, but you know what hurts a little bit as well? Getting real hungover. And we can look at today, October 1st. Today's Saturday. Our Bangover squad got it done, dude.
The Bangover. Yeah, I mean, it was a whole bunch of. I mean, pretty much.
It wasn't
all
a bunch of some guy. They're still players, but
Yeah, but
It was the most random and sporadic lineup I've seen in
Yeah.
quite some time. It's like, who's feeling okay to be in the starting lineup today?
yeah, who didn't get too schmammered last
Yeah.
night?
Who can run this morning?
I know it was hard enough for me to go to the game today after partying last night. Like I woke up and I was just like, do I? And I went. It was a great day. The sun was shining, and the Mariners played great. And Castillo was on the mound, so that was always fun to watch. And I'm glad I went, but I couldn't even imagine like being a player. I mean, they celebrated like crazy, and then had to turn around and play today.
a day game, too.
Yeah, a day game.
Not a
quick
lot of
turnaround.
time to recover. Yeah.
Also, in the very first inning, Dylan Moore hit a double to the gap that I guarantee you, if he hadn't been partying all last night, would have been an easy triple. But he got to second. He was like, you know what? He laid down for a minute, made him.
He got into
Dirt
second
down.
standing.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't like, I'm not riding more than that.
Yeah.
That's plenty for right
Yeah,
now.
don't risk the hammy,
Yeah.
No, they ended up. I mean, they played hard. I was actually surprised. There was a lot of hustle today. Santana was hustling hard. Demo was hustling like crazy. He also stole a bag today as
Grounded
well.
into 2 double plays though.
Ouch.
Yeah. But both those times he was hauling ass down the line. I was really impressed with his hustle. And not that it's not like he hasn't been known to hustle in the past or anything like that, but just with everything at stake or, no longer at stake and the game kind of didn't matter that much, to see him still trying that hard and still caring was nice to see. And I was very happy with the performance Demo and Santana put up today. And also Haggerty in right field made a very nice throw, keep the runner at second, could have easily tagged up, and Haggerty came up firing. It was nice seeing the boys play.
It was Tony Kemp at second, too. It's not like it's a slouch that, I bet you 9 times out of 10 Tony Kemp tags up, makes it to third on that play, because it's fairly deep to right field. Like,
Yeah.
Haggerty didn't have to come in at all. He didn't really go back, but still.
And Tony's the guy that's going to do that to you.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually want to give a lot of praise to Tony Kemp real quick. Just seeing him out there. I mean, a guy that he's never been on like the best teams or whatever, but he's built himself a long and illustrious career. And he's been kind of a Mariner killer this year
yeah.
playing. It's been frustrating.
Yep.
He's been making plays in the outfield, especially in Oakland with the wide open outfield. And he was running all over. It was like he was 20 years old again. But
Yeah.
big credit to Tony Kemp.
I also
Shout-outs.
want to not apologize, but also shout out Tony Kemp because I hated on him a little bit last episode, but just because he's so good, I did say dude, just take a day off, let the Mariners win or something, because he has been a Mariner killer, and yeah, I want to give him props too. He's getting older, he's super athletic, he plays a lot of second base and has tons of range. He can play outfield too. He steals a base like nobody's business. Yeah. always been a stand-up guy. I like Tony Kemp, even though I just hate how scrappy he can be against the Mariners constantly.
Definitely a lot easier to compliment him since we won.
Yeah.
If we had lost, came in here, man,
That's true.
I hate Tony Kemp. But now he can be like, oh, respect, good player, you know?
That 3-run bomb he hit off of us recently, not this series, but the last one we played against him, that's what really set me off. I was just like, no more. No.
Also, this is a little bit of kind of like a topic switch, but it's something that's been eating me, and I'm fully convinced it's true, even though it could be considered conspiracy theory. I believe that MLB implemented juiced balls into this series with the Mariners and the A's. The amount of, because I've gone to a ton of games, and you can tell foul balls off the bat are different when the balls are juiced or not. I mean, you're seeing foul balls go 10, 15 rows up in the 300 level that you just never see that. And we saw it multiple times today, and I saw it multiple times last night too. And there was the game, 9 home runs, all like, come on, there's a marine lair at T-Mobile. Balls go out there and die. It's not a home run friendly park. And to have 9 home runs hit like 3 days ago now.
I think it was 2 days ago. That was a huge day.
Yeah, and you're just telling that just happens out of nowhere. Like, yeah, I guess like momentum can happen and like stuff like that can happen, but you're watching these balls get launched way up further on the sides than you're used to, and then 9 home runs get hit. They were implementing juice balls. MLB wanted this series to pop and to be electric and exciting, and I fully believe that they juice the balls up for it. And it's not a secret. They've done it. They do that in the Field of Dreams game where they play in the cornfield. They use juice balls for that because it's more exciting and it gets fans amped up.
Yeah, there is like that scientist, what's her name, Melinda Wills or whatever, who's been studying the baseball, and like MLB has been manipulating different versions of the baseball, you know. There's no secret about it. That's like measured scientific fact, and we don't know what's going on with the batches of baseballs. Like, we don't know.
They put out that whole thing recently, though, about how the balls need to be mudded a certain way and then conditioned in a, humidor for a little while. Or, like, I think it's like 90 days, or it's like a long while, actually. But, I mean, I guess I could be convinced that it's all conspiracy and that was just a little thing that they put out there. Like, this is how it usually goes, but here's a bucket. Get after it. You know, I don't know.
I'm okay if they use juice balls for this series, honestly. As long as it's consistent. As long as the whole game's played with the juice balls, then whatever. It's fair for both teams. The thing that would have been bad if it was like that theory a while ago that, you know, some at bats, it was just a ragtag group of baseballs. Some at bats, the ball would be juiced. Some it's not. If they're all juiced, that's cool. And juice ball or not, it doesn't matter. That ball Cal Raleigh hit out, he could have hit a bowling ball and it still would have gone 400 feet.
That's true.
Hammered.
Yeah, he destroyed that.
You also see pitchers, too, with like, they get a ball from the ump and they're like, this is a pearl, and throw it away. And they're like, give me another one. And the ump throws him. He's like, no, dude, give me a ball.
Yeah, dude.
So you've seen that a little bit this year. And it's like,
I've seen that quite a few times this year.
Get your baseball standards to like set. What is this?
There's also a great baseball YouTube channel called Baseball Doesn't Exist that does a lot of great kind of documentaries and stuff like that about the game. A very interesting channel. Check them out. Very great channel. Very fun. Great editing, commentary. I disagree with a lot of his points, but it doesn't change how good his content is and how much stuff you can learn from him. But he had a great video about baseball has a baseball problem.
Oh, yeah, I think that's where I saw the exact thing I just said. Where like, pitcher said, no, this is a pearl throw.
Yeah, and that just recently implemented because it happened halfway through this season where MLB was like, okay, now we're making sure all balls are prepared in the exact same way because they weren't. From game to game and team to team, how the balls were prepared wasn't like
Standardized.
Yeah, standardized. Yeah.
Like every team had a guy whose job it was to like take the mud and rub up the balls and have batches of balls ready at the ballpark, you know.
Some acne-faced 17-year-old doesn't give a shit about his job. He just like
With the
throws a ball in a mud puddle. He's like, yeah, that's probably good.
It's muddy.
It's muddy, all right.
That works. Sog ball.
But but I do fully believe that juiced balls were implemented, and could be a conspiracy theorist, whatever, but I don't know, just seeing some of the ways the balls jumps off the bat didn't seem entirely natural, especially like being there in the stadium and you can watch someone flick off a pitch and it goes into the third row or third deck. It seems a little suspicious. But like Nate was saying, I mean, if it's uniformed, if everyone's using juice balls and everyone can jump on it, then, more power to them, I guess. That was one thing that baseball tried to do like 2 years ago. They wanted to boost offense, and so they juiced the balls. The baseballs went to a new manufacturer, and the way they were prepared were different, and home runs were through the roof. And that's just, I mean, it's all proven. Every team was breaking their own home run records because the balls were amped to fly further.
I would say like pitchers are pretty dominant right now too. It's not that like there's juice balls left and right and offense is crazy, but like you're saying, maybe they implement them in certain series and certain games that are big. We don't know. We can't know. That's like behind the scenes stuff that is hard to tell. But pitchers are pretty dominant right now. It's hard to say that like offense is booming because of juice balls. Like look at the pitching.
I'm kind of split in the middle on that one because pitching has gotten so much better in recent years. So maybe they put the juice balls in there to take away some of that dominant pitching so that offense is, shines more. So, I mean, I don't know if it's series to series or team to team, but like, yeah, exactly like Nate said, as long as it's regulated, who cares if the ball is this way or this way? Just get out there, play baseball.
And I mean, look, 9 home runs is exciting to watch. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, since I love the whole, everything about baseball, like a pitching duel can also just be just as exciting to me. But for a casual fan or something, they don't want to see a 1-0 game. They want to see mammoth home runs and great plays and stuff like that. And I get it. And I understand. And baseball's a business.
I say that a lot when I'm talking to casual baseball fans, and they're like, yeah, I don't know, it's kind of a boring game. And I was like, isn't it crazy that the best thing that can happen in baseball is for nothing to happen? Well, it's not nothing. It's super exciting for me to watch. But to any casual fan, watching a pitcher just dominate, maybe even throw a perfect game, is like, what did I just watch? That was so boring. And it's like, what? No, that was the best thing that could have happened.
Yeah.
Dude, Shohei Ohtani took a no-hitter into the 8th. The other night. It's pretty exciting. I ended up watching some of that game while the end of the Mariners game was going on too, because he was dominating. Just watching that guy and his focus and mood and attention is something else, man. He has like a 2.32 ERA or something, but he took a no-hitter into the 8th and was he's no joke. It's fun to watch that guy. The way he just looks at people and expresses himself on the field is something else. It's very dominant and also fun at the same time. I want to watch more of him because he should be the AL MVP, and there should be no question about that.
That's funny. I was actually just about to say, quick roundtable. Who do you think who should be MVP, Shohei or Aaron Judge? My vote is Judge. Realistically,
I think my vote is Judge too. As far as if you want to name the award, maybe like best player in baseball award, which essentially is what the MVP is, but most valuable. I mean, he does it both ways, but he's on a losing team. Like, how much can you really contribute, even if you're playing both sides of the ball?
And like, there's times where Shohei has single-handedly won games for the Angels. He's pitched dominant and scored the only runs in the game. But I just think what Aaron Judge is doing, especially in years where, one, the power numbers are through the roof, but so is his average. It's not like he's just hitting bombs and striking out. He's hit 61 home runs and he's batting .315.
He's threatening for the Triple Crown. Yeah, it would be the first one since Miggy in, 2014, 13?
Something like that. So, yeah, and I get how Shohei is playing two positions, but I don't know. It's definitely tricky, and it could go either way. Like, I'm not going to beef with whoever wins it, but I personally think it should be Aaron Judge.
It's so hard to argue. What do you got, Garrett? What do you think?
I think, Matt, we talked about this the other day, and you said Shohei, and I said, my response to that was, what's the most important thing? Scoring runs. That's how you win ball games. What's the second most important thing? Preventing runs. I gotta give it to Judge, dude.
Yeah, I would go with Judge.
It's hard to say, like, an MVP, right? Like, does an MVP have to be on a team that's winning? What is most valuable? Like, what's your interpretation of what it means? But, like, the people voting, right? Not you guys or, like, me, because we just kind of went through, like, a little bit of that. But, like, the people voting on this, like, what is their interpretation of what the award is and means, right? Like, if Aaron Judge pitched at all, like, it'd be really bad, obviously. And it'd be funny. But, like, Shohei is a top 5 pitcher and a top 5 hitter. Like, he's hit 35 home runs and driven in about 100 runs. Like,
fair point. What if Shohei wasn't on the Angels? What if he played for the Braves, you know?
I will tell you, if
100%
Shohei played in
Shohei.
New York, it wouldn't even be a question that he would be MVP.
Well, yeah.
Also,
for
he
sure.
has that's going against him too, because the East Coast bias is incredibly real, and Shohei plays on the West Coast, and Judge is on the Yankees. That's good for a few votes right there, literally just because he's on the Yankees.
yeah,
Look at how many Gold Gloves they gave Derek Jeter, even though he has a negative 162 defensive runs saved for his career. Absolute garbage piss boy over there at shortstop. And he has like 7 Gold Gloves because he played in New York, and they're just like, oh, that's exciting.
I'm going to stick with my West Coast bias and say Shohei Ohtani is the most valuable player on the field by a long shot because he is the most dominant player in every fashion, like,
Man, that's true too.
on both sides of the ball. He's the best hitter on our team. If he was on our team, he has statistically he has 35 bombs and almost 100 RBIs. Who on our team has that?
It's true.
He's
Almost,
hitting
you
like
know.
270 something. Like, he's a great hitter. And
I mean-
also is a dominant pitcher, like, that strikes out almost half the batters he faces.
If we're talking about
He's the best pitcher on our
definition
team.
of the word valuable, I gotta say Shohei is a more valuable. See, it's tough, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's hard. Like, honestly, like, it's going to be tough, and especially for the people that have to make that decision, especially if Aaron Judge wins the Triple Crown, because you have a two-way player who's dominant on both sides of the ball, and then you have a hitter, but he just happened to be the best hitter in all of baseball.
Right.
Give it to both of them.
Just give Shohei his own.
Baseball's weird. Just give both of them the award.
I won't
Just
be
let it
mad.
happen.
I won't be mad if Aaron Judge wins it, but, like, I think they both deserve it, and they both have historical context, and, like, they're both having the best seasons we've ever seen. Like, it's awesome.
Speaking of awards and kind of steering it back to the Mariners, Julio Rodriguez is almost damn near a shoo-in to win Rookie of the Year. There's a couple people in contention with him. Bobby Witt is one.
Adley Rutschman.
Adley Rutschman on the Orioles. But, I mean, let's be real. It's Julio. He's got...
It's got to be Julio.
He's not even a 2020 season. He's had a 25-25 season, right? 25. Well, he has 27 home runs and 25 stolen bases.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to come back from injury to end the year. I mean, we're going to have another Rookie of the Year. And, I mean, couldn't be more deserving. It definitely is going to go to Julio.
He's also the first Mariners position player to have a 5 FWAR season. Since I forget who I saw it was, but it was a while ago, like 2010s.
Yeah, that's awesome. A 5 WAR season is pretty big. Like, that's no joke. You're producing, and he's doing well in the field too. He has a good range out there. He's preventing doubles. just by how fast he is, cutting balls off in the gap and preventing doubles to being triples. Balls that would get to the wall aren't getting to the wall. He's and no fly zone out there is no joke. He'll track down all the fly balls. It's great. I like that Kalanick can do that too, actually. He looks really good out there. He kind of looks like a football receiver because he's the way he runs, but like he can run down balls out there in the gap, and that makes me happy that we have somebody that can do that while Julio's just hanging out and letting his back get ready to come back and bang.
And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if going into the playoffs, if Kalanick can keep producing like he is, maybe moving him to left field and having an outfield of Kalanick, Julio, and Haniger. That would be,
What do you do with Haggerty in that situation?
It sucks, but he's cooled down a little bit.
Yeah.
He has still, so you would just use him. You would need him coming off the bench though at any time. The fact that he's he can play anywhere and he's fast and quick. Even it's so beneficial in the playoffs just to have a speedy pinch runner in the 8th or 9th inning. You'll notice that with a lot of playoff teams, pinch runners happen more in late in games. And
for sure. And we have 2 great utility guys on the bench. Come on, man.
And they both can steal bases. They both can play almost anywhere on the field. That's awesome. And like Patrick said, in the playoffs, then you can pinch run for anyone in your lineup.
For sure.
And you have
he's
another
so
guy,
fast.
too. It's awesome.
I think Haggerty's the fastest dude on the team right now, right?
He's probably got to be.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone off the top that would be faster. I feel like him and Demo have got to be closest in speed.
For sure.
They're both really quick, but I think Haggerty's probably the fastest. And honestly, I'm just excited for playoff baseball. This is what we've all been waiting for. It's a dream come true. Seattle, everyone be excited. Like, talk to your friends, talk to your family, get everyone involved. Let them know the Mariners are for real. There's no hope, or there's no like crashing hope or anything that it can be taken away from you. It's here. It's for real. It's clinched. The Mariners are going to the postseason. Tell your friends.
It's clinched and Matt is unclenched.
Thank God.
Real quick with the playoffs, with us being so young and inexperienced and everything, like obviously not being in the playoffs in 20 years, if you had to guess off the top of your head without sitting and counting them out, how many players on the Mariners roster right now do you think have playoff experience?
3.
4.
Maybe like 2.
Oh, you'd be surprised. It's actually 9.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we've got Gino, Winker, both of them in 17 and 20 with the Reds, obviously.
And
Marco.
Castillo.
Yeah, Luis Castillo now,
Santana.
too. Marco actually had one playoff appearance in 2014. I think he threw like 3 innings during a season, had like a 7 ERA.
That boy.
Toro actually had 1 pinch hit at bat in 2020 with the Astros.
That counts.
And then
That counts.
Diego Castillo multiple times with the Rays. Robbie Ray, obviously. Kurt Casale actually has a playoff experience with the Diamondbacks in 17. And then Carlos Santana.
All right.
That's not bad at all.
So we've got a few dudes on there that know what the experience is like, but honestly, it's going to be a different beast. It's going to be nerve-wracking for these young guys. It's huge, and the pressure of them wanting to put out for the fans and stuff. It's going to be a lot of pressure on this young team, but that's okay, and it's good. You got to get over that hump at some point, and hopefully this should be the first of many years for the Mariners going into the playoffs. So they're only going to get more seasoned and more experience. And, you got to start somewhere. But, yeah, it's going to be quite the culture shock for them to see playoff baseball. And also for Mariners fans being at the stadium in a playoff atmosphere. Even now it's been the end of the season, but, like, the stadium has been rocking. It's been damn near sold out. Everyone's really into it and involved in cheering. But it's a whole different beast as soon as playoff baseball starts. It's going to be louder than the stadium has ever heard.
I just want to say I don't want to hear it from any of the new Mariners fans. If they lose that first round of the playoffs, they're like, yeah, I knew it. Bitch, shut up. No, that's not what this was about. I know all these longtime Mariner fans are going to be like, this was the best year we've had in 21 years. No question. But I don't want to hear it from any of y'all newbies. Like, yeah, well, they lost early in the playoffs. Shut up.
At least
Doesn't
they got
matter.
there, you know?
Yeah.
We could get swept in the first 2 games of the wild card, and I would not even care. This season was
Nope,
still a
not at all.
success.
Still a success. And like I said, I mean, using it as a stepping stone for future seasons. At least, you know, they're getting over the hump. And yeah, if they got eliminated right away in the playoffs, it's kind of a bummer. But honestly, this season is a success. I mean, no matter what happens from here on out, this season was the most successful season the Mariners have had in 2 decades.
They did it this season. They finally bridged the gap, got over the hump. You know, the expanding of the playoffs helped a little bit, but I mean, this is the way baseball should be. Playing for one little playoff or one little wild card spot, like, is not fun. You know, like, expand that a little bit, which is what they did. And here we are. Like, this is a way more exciting setup for playoffs than I've seen in a while. I don't know if it's just because the Mariners are there now, but like, I kind of like the way the wild card is a 3-game series now and not just 1 game. It's like extra.
I do too.
And it by no means makes it easier or discredits getting into the playoffs with expanded playoffs now. I mean, baseball playoffs are still the hardest playoffs to make. You look at like the NBA, half the freaking teams make the playoffs.
Hockey too.
Hockey too.
Hockey and basketball.
Football is pretty Yeah, they have a couple. They have a couple more teams in the playoffs than the MLB does currently. But
Yeah, and we're equally competitive with the teams that we're in there with. The Rays and the Blue Jays and the Mariners are a great grouping of teams the Cleveland Guardians is a great grouping of teams for this wild card. It's exciting. I like it a lot.
And piggybacking off of what Garrett said, bandwagon fans that will be like,
Not bandwagon, just new Mariners fans.
New Mariners fans just being like, oh yeah, well they lost right away, whatever. It's like, no, you should be happy. There's nothing wrong with the season, and I mean, yeah, even if they get swept, whatever, it's still a stepping stone and more experience for next year. And now that they've got a taste, I feel like it's cannibalism. You can never stop once you eat that.
Gross, dude. That's a terrible analogy.
The window's wide open.
That was pretty accurate.
Because it smells so bad from the cannibalism.
Patrick's absolutely right with the stepping stone. I mean, look at the Braves before they won the World Series. What they'd spent 3-4 years making the playoffs, kind of milling around, 2-3 years or whatever. Make the playoffs, mill around, losing the DS or the CS. And then you get that experience. You have guys that have been there the past 2 years, and then that's when you win the World Series the next year.
Yeah, man, the window's wide open right now, and this year is just our introduction to the whole baseball world. And next year we're going to be looking up at the Astros saying, hey, guys, we're good now, and like we won't lose every game to them next year like we did this year. We lost so many games to them this year.
Being competitive against the Astros is going to be fun going forward.
Yes.
And literally, I mean, the team is only going to get better. We still have such a young core. You have guys that are in their rookie or sophomore seasons. It's just more experience, more growth, more chemistry. And with free agents willing to sign here now, we might get some big acquisitions in the offseason. Everything is amazing. Everything is awesome. Like,
Yes.
I mean, it's hard. What else can you say?
yeah, like everything is great. Like, honestly, we don't even need to do a CS guys or whatever. Let's just playoff baseball. It's here. It's happening. I'm so excited.
It's here. It's now.
It's now. Everyone, tell your friends. Get everyone involved. Make everyone just as excited as we are. Come cheer the team on. It's playoff baseball, baby, in
Support
Seattle.
the boys. Let's go, Mariners. They're my boys. I've been emotionally invested in them all year, and you should be too. It's here. It's time.
Support them. Support us. YouTube, Spotify, Google playlists.
Like, comment, subscribe, share, tell your friends, and cheer on the Mariners. Everyone, we did it. Playoff
It's here.
baseball.
Let's go, Mariners.
Go, Mariners.